A pair of birds soar through the bright blue sky, setting a peaceful scene. The view shifts to the Grand Ares Empire, a bustling city surrounded by massive walls, with a golden palace shining at its center. A close-up of a statue of a bearded man, bathed in sunlight, symbolizing power and reverence. In the heart of the city, people go about their day near a large equestrian statue. Children run playfully while citizens walk by, showing the liveliness of the empire. A soldier comments on how peaceful the city feels as people go about their day. Another soldier disagrees, warning that no one knows when the revolutionaries might rise again. Two soldiers laugh, mocking the revolutionaries as mere country bumpkins and saying their rebellion is nothing serious. One soldier adds that it has been quiet recently, suggesting the rebels must have realized their uprising was pointless. A soldier comments that things have been quiet lately, suggesting maybe the empire's knights already handled the revolutionaries. We see a grand statue of a knight on horseback as someone hopes that peace will continue. The scene shifts to a torch burning brightly, setting a tense atmosphere as the words, "Tonight," appear. A group of armored men gathers around a table with a map. Their leader declares their plan, to kill the emperor and bring down the empire. A knight, with a serious expression, declares that this is the only way to reclaim the kingdom. Two knights stand silently, one with white hair and a stern look, showing their resolve. Another pair of knights listens in silence, one nodding slightly in agreement. The commander looks at Logan and says his role is the most important. He calls out Logan McLean by name in front of everyone. With a serious expression, he orders Logan to protect the secret text at all costs. Logan stays calm, listening closely to the command. Logan responds firmly, saying he's aware of his duty. A knight peeks out from a doorway, noticing Logan walking away with the other knights. The same knight quickly approaches Logan from behind. With a smirk, the knight teases Logan, saying he's surprisingly patriotic. A knight asks Logan what he means, and Logan's comrade clarifies that he's talking about the secret text. The narration explains that countless lives were sacrificed to seize and protect this secret text from the empire. Possessing it makes the holder the number one target of the empire's military. The comrade tells Logan that he's risking his life just to protect the book. Logan responds coldly, saying it's not like he volunteered for the role. The comrade explains that it's because Logan can read the ancient language, and even so, guarding it without complaints is already proof of his patriotism. A knight, visibly tense, is abruptly silenced as he's reminded that his words insult the honor of his fellow comrades. Logan, the red-haired protagonist, stands with his back turned. His voice cuts through the silence. This isn't about patriotism. As the flames reflect in his eyes, Logan's expression hardens. He declares the true reason for his fight, revenge. Logan reflects on his past with deep regret, calling himself a good-for-nothing. A wooden sword strikes him hard, reinforcing the humiliation of the moment. In the training grounds, Logan stands defeated while his younger brother Ronian points a sword at him. The crowd watches in disbelief as whispers spread. The elder son of the family has just lost to his younger sibling. Ronian, Logan's younger brother, looks surprised as he realizes how far ahead he's come. It's only been 3 years since he started training with a sword, yet he just defeated his older brother. The perspective shifts to Logan lying on the ground, defeated. Despite 10 years of knight training, Logan was effortlessly bested, exposing a painful gap in talent. Logan lies bloodied and humiliated as the crowd watches. Whispers question how someone so incompetent could be the eldest son of the family. Logan grips his training sword in silence, while others cast doubt on the future of the McLean family. In a fit of rage, his father slams his hand down, realizing something is wrong. It's paralysis poison. Furious and shocked, Logan's father accuses him of poisoning his own younger brother, questioning if he's gone mad. Logan stands silent, eyes downcast, as his father speaks in frustration. The weight of his actions hangs heavy in the air. His father grits his teeth in anguish, emotions boiling over. The betrayal is too much to bear. The judgment is swift and final. Logan is ordered to leave the family. Logan stands in silence, his expression blank but heavy with guilt. He confesses that his twisted actions were driven by deep-seated inferiority toward his younger brother. Standing before the grand window, Logan's father casts a cold verdict, disowning his son for the unforgivable betrayal. Logan is stripped of his name and place in the family. With no one left to call him family, Logan reflects bitterly, acknowledging the disgrace that once defined him. That was who he used to be. Logan, now exiled, walks away from his former home. He declares he left the family behind and became a mercenary. Clad in armor, Logan continues walking forward. After 10 years of relentless struggle, he finally understands the depth of his past mistakes and how terrible a person he had been. But by then, he stands in front of his family's estate, engulfed in flames. The home he longed to return to is burning. Two women whisper in secret as one urgently asks, "Did you hear?" In a rainy town square, rumors spread of a public hanging scheduled for the day. A hooded man walks silently through the rain as the townspeople continue gossiping, revealing the prisoner's identity. The name McLean is shouted, sending a shock through the crowd. The announcer reveals the prisoner's full name, Ronian McLean. A bystander comments that Ronian was an aura user who fought on the front lines against the Empire. Others in the crowd discuss how the royal family ran off and left him behind, abandoned. Logan shouts Ronian's name in desperation. He pleads with him to stay alive, saying there's something important he still needs to share. Logan runs toward the light, clinging to the hope that Ronian is still alive, driven by regret and urgency. A blood-drenched guillotine blade drops. A character watches in shock, his eye wide open as blood splatters. A soldier shouts, calling attention to the scene unfolding before everyone. He raises a severed head high in front of the guillotine, declaring this as the fate of anyone who dares defy the Empire. The crowd erupts in cheers, shouting "Huzzah!" in support of the execution, fully backing the Empire's brutal display. Tears stream down his face as he clenches his jaw in anguish. He makes a silent vow. His promise is clear: revenge on the Empire. With rage and sorrow in his eyes, he swears vengeance for the family they took from him. The narrator expresses deep regret and sorrow, shouting that the chance to beg for forgiveness was taken from him. A command rings out. Someone shouts, "After him," as we see the moonlit castle, signaling the start of a pursuit. One of the guards spots the fleeing target and yells, "It's him," confirming the identity of the person they're chasing. Logan is sprinting at full speed, pursued by Imperial guards yelling that he has the secret book. He glances back with a mix of urgency and dread, realizing the situation is critical. He comes to a halt in front of a wall. There's no exit. He's cornered with nowhere to run. Logan is spotted by a guard who shouts his location. He grits his teeth, knowing he's out of time. With no option left, Logan grabs his sword, preparing for a last stand. A soldier charges at him with full force, shouting "Die, rebel," as the confrontation becomes unavoidable. Logan engages the enemy in close combat. Sparks fly as their blades collide with force. With focused eyes, Logan tightens his grip and counters, pushing back against the enemy's pressure. The soldier recoils, eyes wide with pain and rage, attempting a desperate strike while yelling in frustration. One of the Imperial soldiers screams in agony as Logan lands a brutal and precise blow, slicing through his side with lethal force. Logan fiercely follows up, striking another soldier with a deadly slash. Blood sprays across the room as he yells in rage, driven by fury and desperation. Another soldier watches in shock, realizing Logan is far more dangerous than expected. Logan braces himself as a soldier swings a sword down at him with full force. Logan swiftly counters the attack, delivering a powerful blow to the enemy's neck, his expression filled with cold determination. The enemy is visibly stunned. Logan swiftly ducks under his opponent's raised sword, closing the distance in an instant. He counters with a powerful upward stab, piercing the enemy's side with precision. Logan, consumed by rage, charges forward with blazing eyes and bloodied armor. His movements become a blur of red, slashing through the air with ferocity. His eyes narrowed and filled with fury. Logan internally roars a command to himself. He must kill more of the Empire soldiers. His vengeance has only begun. Soldiers rush in from all directions, their boots pounding against the floor as they prepare to surround Logan. The Empire's soldiers confront Logan, accusing him of stealing a valuable treasure and demanding he surrender the secret text. Surrounded and cornered, Logan glances upward, sweat trickling down his face, wondering if this is where his journey ends. A slight smirk forms on Logan's face, a mix of defiance and resignation as sweat trickles down. Surrounded by armed enemies, Logan stands tall and declares they've left him no choice. He reveals a glowing orb, clenching it tightly as its energy shifts from blue to ominous red. Logan's expression turns fierce as he yells, "Let's all die," ready to trigger the orb's destructive power. The soldiers are shocked, their faces lit up in confusion and fear as a blinding red light erupts in front of them. A powerful burst of energy explodes out of the building's window, illuminating the surroundings with overwhelming intensity. The entire fortress is engulfed in a massive explosion, signaling complete destruction triggered by Logan's final act. Logan reflects on his past, a life filled with nothing but regret, consumed entirely by his pursuit of revenge. Despite everything, Logan finds a small sense of satisfaction in having brought down the Empire's bastards before the end. Logan floats in a void-like space, his body lifeless as he reflects on the biggest regret of his life. Even in death, Logan is unable to let go of that regret. His expression is calm, but sorrow lingers. In his final thought, Logan realizes the one thing he never did. He should have begged for forgiveness. Logan hopes that if there is an afterlife, he can meet his family there. He suddenly gasps, awakening in shock while looking at an unfamiliar place. Grabbing his head in pain, he groans from an intense headache. Confused, he questions how he can feel pain if he's supposed to be dead. The young master wakes up in bed, looking confused as his servant rushes in, worried, asking if he's all right. The young master stares in shock, recognizing the person before him. He calls out the servant's name, Rick. The servant confirms, smiling, introducing himself as the young master's main servant, and asks how he's feeling. The young master is shocked, realizing that Rick, his servant, had died 30 years ago. He demands to know how Rick is still alive. Rick's face twists in panic, sweating heavily as he's caught off guard by the question. Rick shouts in desperation, claiming the young master must have hurt his head badly and urgently calls for a doctor. Rick rushes to get help, shouting for someone to bring a doctor, while the protagonist sits on the bed, looking serious and deep in thought. The protagonist gazes out the window, noticing knights sparring in the training grounds. His eyes fix on the banners and shields, realizing the family symbol is displayed everywhere, confirming where he is. The protagonist looks shocked, questioning if everything around him is just a dream. A young boy cautiously opens the door, calling out to him with a trembling voice, "Brother." The protagonist, startled, turns his head as the boy nervously asks if he's all right. The protagonist, eyes wide with disbelief, whispers the boy's name, Ronian, realizing it's his younger brother. Ronian clenches his fist, his hand trembling. Logan looks at him, eyes widening. This scene, I remember it. It was when we had our first duel. Logan recalls the memory. I lost pathetically to my brother, and when he came to visit me, Ronian gets slapped away harshly as Logan shouts at him to back off. Logan furiously points at Ronian, yelling that he's nothing more than the child of a concubine. Despite the cruel words and insults, Ronian looks up with teary eyes, remembering how he always followed his brother everywhere. Logan recalls that after the harsh day, his younger brother stopped visiting him. Logan suddenly grabs his head in pain, while his brother Ronian looks shocked and worried, calling out his name. Rick steps in, saying the young master needs more rest, gently asking Ronian to leave and let Logan recover. Rick looks at Logan worriedly and asks, "Young master?" Logan smiles gently and says, "Ronnie, you can come closer." Ronnie looks surprised and a bit hesitant as he takes a step forward. Rick watches them, confused, as Logan continues to look warmly at Ronnie. Ronnie apologizes, saying he should have been more careful. He tells Ronnie that he didn't do anything wrong. Logan tries to continue speaking, but struggles to get the words out. Logan suddenly clutches his head in pain, and Ronnie panics, asking if he's okay. Ronnie looks shocked and emotional as Logan recalls how kind he was. Logan remembers that Ronnie fought on the front lines as ordered by the kingdom and tragically lost his life. Logan, filled with guilt and sorrow, grabs Ronnie and apologizes sincerely. Logan breaks down in tears, apologizing with all his heart. Ronnie looks shocked as Logan suddenly hugs him tightly. Close-up of Ronnie's emotional face as he holds back tears in Logan's embrace. Both brothers share a heartfelt hug, the sunlight shining warmly around them. The scene shifts outside the room. Ronnie's voice is heard saying, "Then Logan." Ronnie smiles and says he'll come visit Logan again. Logan, smiling warmly, tells Ronnie to go rest. Logan stands quietly, watching with a soft, emotional expression. Logan looks out the window, thinking to himself that if all of this isn't a dream. The scene shifts to a flag with his family's crest waving in the sky. Logan realizes he's truly back in the past. With a determined expression, Logan decides at this time he must change everything. A maid gasps in shock, calling out to Logan, clearly startled by his presence. Logan looks confused as the maid bows deeply, nervously apologizing to him. Logan, surprised, asks her what she's apologizing for. Rick explains with a laugh that Mary accidentally disturbed Logan's rest, admitting he forgot to warn her, while Mary stands embarrassed. Logan covers his face in regret, thinking about how he used to mistreat the servants. Logan tells Rick it's fine and that Mary didn't do anything wrong. He then asks Rick to bring him a pen and paper. Rick and Mary look shocked, thinking Logan might punish Mary with the pen and paper. Logan quickly clarifies, frustrated, just to send her out and bring the items. Rick places the pen and stack of paper on the table, telling Logan he'll leave them there. Logan tells Rick thanks and orders him to make sure no one comes into his room. Rick is shocked, thinking, did he just thank me? Rick looks worried, asking Logan if he's sure he's all right, suggesting maybe his head hurts. Logan snaps, shouting that he's fine, and tells Rick to get out. Rick sighs in relief and quickly agrees, addressing Logan as young master. Rick leaves with a smile, telling Logan to rest. Logan folds his arms and exhales tiredly. Rick murmurs to himself that since Logan yelled, he must be fine, and decides to go back to work. Meanwhile, Logan holds his head, clearly struggling. Logan sits at his desk, clenching his fists, reminding himself to stay patient and accept that everything happening now is a result of his own past actions. With determination in his eyes, Logan thinks the most important thing right now is to record everything that will happen. A war flag waves over a battlefield filled with swords stuck in the ground. Logan recalls the devastating war against the Empire that will happen in 10 years, a conflict that will destroy not just his family, but the entire nation. Logan, holding a quill, looks determined. He resolves that preventing that disaster will be his ultimate goal. Logan grabs the pen tightly, determined to take action. He recalls the war of the fiefdom that will break out in just a year, a sudden conflict that severely damages his family. Soldiers clash violently on the battlefield, marking the beginning of the dark times that dragged his family into despair. Logan sits at his desk, deep in thought, realizing he must prevent the upcoming disaster. The scene shifts to a door being knocked on, breaking the silence. A man draped in a fur-lined cloak stands by a large window, being addressed as the patriarch. A servant informs the patriarch that the first young master has come to see him. The patriarch looks surprised, muttering Logan's name in disbelief. A pair of boots are shown walking briskly through the hallway. Two maids are startled, reacting in shock as they see someone approaching. Two servants nervously glance back, clearly uneasy about what's happening. Logan walks through the hall, and the maids bow their heads nervously as he passes by. A maid carrying a large bundle accidentally bumps into Logan, panicking as she drops everything. The maid falls to the ground with the scattered laundry, staring up at Logan in fear while he looks down at her. The maid panics, thinking she's in trouble for tripping in front of the young master, convinced she's doomed. Instead of scolding, Logan extends his hand and gently asks if she's okay. Logan helps the maid up after she falls, and she looks relieved but nervous. The maid suddenly widens her eyes in shock as she notices something unsettling. Logan gives her a sinister smile, saying it's not a big deal at all, terrifying the maid as she screams in fear. The maid panics, falling to her knees and begging for forgiveness, terrified that she has committed a grave mistake. Logan looks at her, confused by her sudden reaction. Logan realizes how strange it must look for him to act so differently all of a sudden. He thinks to himself that it's natural people need time to adjust to the change in him. Logan looks at his reflection, thinking he needs to take his time and prove he's truly changed. He tries forcing a smile in the mirror, but it looks unsettling instead of warm. He questions himself, wondering if the problem is just that his smile looks too awkward. The butler informs the patriarch that the first young master has come to see him. Logan, looking tense, thinks to himself, "Father." A flashback shows Logan's father saying, "You're no longer my child," as Logan recalls resenting him for years after being kicked out in his previous life. Logan recalls how his father gave up on him and never visited even after he collapsed in an official duel. A shadowed image of his father emphasizes the cold and heartless treatment he received. Logan clenches his fist, realizing how foolish he was to believe otherwise. The door creaks open, letting in a warm light. The narration reflects, questioning how heartbroken a parent must be to cast out their own child. Logan steps in with a calm smile, softly addressing, "Father." Logan, with a gentle smile, calls out to his father. The patriarch turns, recognizing Logan's voice. Logan faces his father with emotion in his eyes, softly calling him "Father." Logan, trembling, finally admits with sincerity, "I'm really sorry." The scene introduces Patrick McLean, the patriarch of the house of Baron McLean, who sternly asks Logan why he's come. Logan notes to himself how cold his father seems, though he tries to brush it off, reminding himself that while it's been 20 years for him, his father sees him every day. Out loud, he says he's here for a reason. Logan formally asks his father for permission to undergo isolated training on the family plot. Patrick looks surprised and repeats the words, "Isolated training?" The narrator questions what needs to be done to win the upcoming regional war. The answer is given, strengthening the territory's entire military force. It shows knights and soldiers ready for battle, highlighting the need to reinforce and develop weapons, alongside other crucial preparations. Logan is thinking to himself that for everything to work, he needs money. With a sharp gaze, Logan admits he desperately needs money. The narration explains the McLeans are infamous in the kingdom. It's revealed they're mocked as the beggar family, since they have no money, shown by their castle with a banner reading "McLean is open for business." Logan thinks to himself that there's a way to earn a lot of money quickly. He recalls an incident that will happen in 3 months, one that could give him enough funds to cover the family's yearly budget in a single stroke. Logan reflects that to make it happen, he needs to improve his martial skills and gain influence. Meanwhile, his father questions him, asking if he just wants to run away because he lost to his younger brother. Logan firmly denies it, admitting he's realized how lacking he has been all this time. He says that even if it's late, he's determined to get his act together now. Patrick looks at Logan coldly, saying that lack of effort isn't the only reason for his failures, showing his disappointment. Logan thinks to himself that his father isn't trusting him easily. Logan admits that his past behavior has been a big problem and says he's trying to change. Patrick closes his eyes tiredly, saying he's heard those words from Logan too many times already. Logan's father coldly tells him to leave. Logan feels the weight of all his past mistakes. Logan admits to himself that instead of facing his shortcomings, he vented his anger on others. Close-up of Logan's eyes as he reflects, calling himself foolish and immature. Logan, with determination, says he wants to use this training to overcome his immaturity and grow stronger. He pleads with his father, asking him to allow it. His father, observing him closely, notes that Logan's words don't sound like a lame excuse this time. Logan's father asks him how long he plans to train. Logan replies that he's thinking around 3 months. His father questions if that short amount of time is enough to catch up to Ronnie. Logan explains that it's not about beating Ronnie. Logan says he chose a short time because he simply wants to do the best he can. Logan's father admits that Logan seems to have changed a little. He grants permission, saying he'll allow it. Logan smiles, looking grateful, and thanks his father. Logan pauses at the door as his father calls his name. His father, facing the sunlight, tells him it's still spring and warns that the family burial grounds will be too cold. Logan listens as his father advises him to stay warm. With a faint smile, Logan responds softly, "Yes, father." A few days later, the scene shifts to a bright and calm forest. A bag and sword are set down, showing that Logan has arrived at his training spot. He says, "I'm here." Logan explains that only McLean family members are allowed inside this place, so no one else ever comes here. Looking around at the vast space, Logan notes that it's huge and perfect for solitary training. Logan thinks to himself that he can't let anyone see his training method, yet as he unpacks his bag in a secluded place, he pulls out an old book from the bag, his expression showing relief as he says he found it. Logan reveals the book titled Divine Sword Secrets. He recalls that in his previous life, he memorized and burned this book so the Empire couldn't get their hands on it at any cost. Narration says the book was originally embroidered with a golden hawk. A legendary knight is shown holding a shining sword high, representing the hero from ancient times. It's revealed this hero used the secrets in the book to slay the evil dragon that once ruled the world. Logan explains he transcribed the book using a secret code from the Independent Army so no one else could read it, feeling relieved and a bit proud of his effort. Logan thinks to himself that if the Book of Secrets is real, mastering it could change everything. He recalls that in his past life, it was already too late for him because of his age and lack of talent. Now, with his regression, he clenches his fist, glowing with power, declaring he has a real chance this time. The text explains that the Divine Sword Secrets are based on modifying the body using life force, known as force. Logan channels the force into his body, focusing it towards his heart to create a core. He admits that this process is extremely difficult for someone with average talent, and the Oldham would have failed by now, but things are different this time. Logan confirms his suspicion. After regressing, his force has drastically improved in every way. He believes that just 3 days and nights of effort might be enough to accomplish something great. Suddenly, Logan is caught off guard by something unexpected, reacting with surprise. He notices a swirling energy and realizes with shock that the core is already forming on its own. Logan looks down in shock as an intense golden light emerges from his chest, signaling something powerful forming inside him. The forming core radiates immense energy, glowing brightly as Logan's body reacts to the overwhelming force. Logan feels revitalized, his body absorbing the energy like rain after a long drought, bringing a sense of renewal and joy. Logan draws his sword with determination, ready to test the teachings of the secret book. He stomps the ground, building momentum and unleashing power. A powerful sword slash erupts from his strike, releasing immense energy in all directions. Logan smiles with excitement, realizing that his body and senses have transformed perfectly for swordsmanship. Logan looks out at the landscape, sword in hand, reflecting on the rapid formation of his force core. He smiles confidently, realizing that if this pace continues, he can become significantly stronger in just 3 months. Determined, Logan declares that he'll continue his training without delay. He trains intensely in the forest, his battle cries echoing through the trees as he sharpens his skills. Logan reflects that today marks the final day of his training. He stands before a massive tree, sword in hand, mentally preparing himself. He recalls the 10 sword techniques documented in the Book of Secrets. Among them, the one he's about to attempt is the legendary technique known as the sword that cuts through time and space. Logan ignites his body in flames, raising his sword and channeling intense energy as he prepares for a decisive strike. With both hands gripping the sword tightly, he gathers maximum force, ready to unleash the most powerful technique he's learned. His focused gaze shows unwavering determination, locking onto his target with absolute concentration. Finally, he unleashes a devastating slash infused with fiery energy, creating a shockwave that tears through everything in its path. The protagonist pants heavily, showing signs of exhaustion after unleashing his ultimate technique. He drops to one knee, using his sword to stabilize himself, completely drained from the immense power he just released. As he gazes forward, the towering tree he was training against begins to split apart from the force of his strike. Overwhelmed by disbelief and triumph, he collapses backward, laughing uncontrollably at what he just accomplished. Logan, overwhelmed by the sheer force of the technique he just unleashed, acknowledges that this power surpasses anything he could have imagined. It's not something a beginner should be capable of. Even though his hand trembles from exhaustion after a single use, he realizes this technique is a powerful trump card he can rely on when needed. Confident that he has achieved everything he set out to during this training, Logan feels ready to report his progress to his father. However, before doing so, he notices how bad he smells and decides it's best to clean up first. The family flag waves above the mansion as someone questions what was just said, hinting at a serious shift in tone or mood. A night guard blocks the entrance, stating that the patriarch cannot see the young master and politely tells him to leave. Logan, surprised, asks if his father is unwell, clearly confused by the sudden rejection. The guard explains smugly that family law prohibits even direct relatives from meeting the patriarch without prior notice, mockingly reminding Logan of the rule. Logan looks annoyed, pointing out that those rules are centuries old and he met his father without issue just 3 months ago. The guard sarcastically replies that the previous guard must have failed his duty, while Logan internally notes that this situation never occurred in his past life. Logan realizes the knight is upset and notices something odd through his enhanced hearing. His senses pick up a faint conversation from within the mansion, revealing 2 guards speaking about the presence of the first master. The guards mockingly talk about Logan, calling him a coward who ran away after losing to his younger brother. They are confident he won't dare to speak up and believe their superior will handle any issues. Logan realizes that while he was away training, his reputation has plummeted. Even if family knights don't take him seriously anymore. The knight instructs him to visit only with prior notice next time. Logan, visibly annoyed, mutters to himself that this whole situation is too troublesome. He recalls his original plan to change his reputation slowly, but it seems he's already losing patience. He asks the knight for his name. Logan reaches for something, confusing the knight who wonders what he's pulling out. Logan confirms the knight's name, Dominan, with a calm, firm tone. Addressing the nearby guards, Logan calls out their hypocrisy for enforcing a long-forgotten rule to block him from meeting his own father. He then directly accuses Dominan of mocking him and showing constant disrespect, catching his attendant off guard with his bold stance. Dominan is taken aback as Logan unexpectedly asserts himself, showing a level of authority no one anticipated. Logan throws his glove and slaps Dominan across the face, a traditional declaration of a duel, catching everyone off guard. Logan loudly declares a formal challenge to Dominan, demanding a duel to settle the humiliation he faced. The knights react in total shock. They can't believe what they just witnessed. Logan openly challenging a knight to a duel. Logan mocks Dominan, confidently asking why he's staying silent and suggesting that he's afraid. The shocked attendants react in panic to Logan's bold provocation, while Logan grins, ridiculing Dominant for being too scared to face someone he thinks is a coward. Dominant is visibly frustrated, gripping his face in anger, as Logan's words and challenge strike a nerve. Dominant, caught off guard and clearly pressured, finally concedes. He reluctantly agrees to the duel, saying he'll do it. With a burst of resolve, Dominant dramatically crushes the glove thrown at him, formally accepting the challenge. The tension spikes as the two face off. Dominant, burning with rage, grits his teeth while Logan remains calm and confident, even smirking. The scene shifts to an armory filled with spears and swords, glowing under the sunlight. Logan enters the training grounds, carrying a wooden sword on his shoulder, facing off against the knight. Nearby soldiers whisper in shock, questioning if the young master is really challenging a knight. They're certain Logan is going to lose. Logan walks in with a wooden sword, overhearing knights gossiping about him. They mention how he got beaten by Ronian and hid for months. The knights mock him further, betting on how long he'll last, some saying he won't even survive 10 minutes. Another knight ups the bet, saying Logan won't last 5 minutes. Logan, holding his sword, thinks to himself that no one expects him to win. The knight tells Logan he looks pretty relaxed. The knight, clearly tense, warns Logan not to hurt himself. Logan smirks, thinking to himself that the knight doesn't have the guts to insult him openly, calling him gutless. A servant comments, saying that in the end, the young master ended up fighting the knight. A servant looks panicked, thinking, "We're screwed," while another exclaims that Rick stopped breathing from shock. The announcer declares the start of the official duel between Logan McClane and Sir Dominion. For safety, the announcer explains that only wooden weapons will be used in the fight. Logan gives a serious nod, ready for the duel to begin. The knight looks uneasy, questioning if he should really go through with this duel. He thinks about how even with wooden weapons, a knight's force could still be lethal. The referee pleads with Dominion to go easy on Logan. The referee announces the start of the duel as Logan and Dominion face off. Logan steps forward with determination, wooden sword in hand, while Sir Dominon waits on the other side, ready to fight. Sir Dominon powers up, dark energy swirling around him as he prepares to use force in the duel. Two knights watching from the side whisper in shock, realizing Sir Dominon is about to use force even though Logan is just a normal person. The servants look worried, calling out that it's unfair. They beg Sir Dominon to go easy, fearing Logan could get seriously hurt if struck. Logan looks calm, noting that the force aura might seem intimidating to someone inexperienced. He realizes the knight is clumsy with his force, as it's leaking uncontrollably, showing poor control. Facing him confidently, Logan taunts, asking if something has upset him since he seems so worked up. Dominion grips his wooden sword tightly, his thoughts filled with rage as he recalls being called past his prime. Logan smirks confidently, mocking Dominion, saying that he and others like him are all past their prime now. Dominion, furious and gritting his teeth, shouts in anger, unable to handle the insult, declaring how dare someone like Logan speak to him that way. Dominion charges at Logan, his sword engulfed in a powerful red aura. The servants panic, shouting for someone to stop Dominion, fearing Logan might die. Dominion thinks to himself that he's decided to retire anyway, gripping his sword tightly. With fierce determination, Dominion yells that he's going to end Logan with his secret technique. Logan steps forward, ready to make his move. Logan swiftly counterattacks, catching Sir Dominion off guard. Dominion's face twists in shock and panic as he struggles against the sudden strike. Dominion's wooden sword slips from his hand and drops to the ground, signaling his defeat. Logan stands tall with his wooden sword, looking calm and confident after the clash. He taunts his opponent, asking if that's the best they can do. The knights watching are in shock, yelling in disbelief at what just happened. Even the servants and onlookers are stunned, their faces filled with worry and surprise. The knights are shocked, saying they couldn't even see what happened. They're realizing the young master just showed skills they never expected. Logan confidently calls out, questioning if they're saying he's actually a force user. With a smirk, Logan tells the referee he wants to give Dominion another chance to fight. The referee, clearly nervous, agrees hesitantly and calls out to Sir Dominion to continue. Dominion trembles, sweat pouring down his face as he tries to make sense of what just happened. He's overwhelmed and confused, asking himself what on earth is going on. Logan calmly rests a training sword on his shoulder, radiating quiet confidence. His posture and expression show complete control. Dominion is shaken to his core. Dominion grips his sword tightly, surrounded by a dark aura. His hand trembles as he refuses to accept what his instincts are telling him. Unable to contain his disbelief, Dominion shouts in denial. His pride refuses to admit that he might be weaker than the young man standing across from him. Logan observes Dominion, realizing he's pushing his body beyond its limit and starting to overheat. Without hesitation, Logan lands a powerful strike, catching Dominion completely off guard. Dominion reels back in pain, blood spilling from his mouth, unable to react in time. Logan stands tall and fierce, glaring down at his opponent, showing complete dominance. Logan clicks his tongue in disappointment, stating that he even gave the opponent another chance. He watches Dominion on the ground, covering his face in shame. Logan coldly remarks that it's about time he tucks his tail and accepts defeat. Logan stands tall, sword in hand, towering over a defeated Dominion. Dominion, trembling on the ground, barely lifts his head as he addresses Logan. Beaten and bruised, Dominion lowers his head in shame and begins to admit his defeat, his words barely audible. But before he can finish, Logan strikes him across the face without hesitation, sending Dominion flying from the sheer force of the blow. Logan reflects silently, stating he's already shown too much mercy to Dominion, who dared to rebel against his superior. Logan tightens his grip on the wooden sword. His expression turns cold as he declares Dominion's sentence. Punishment. Logan unleashes a brutal series of blows on Dominion. Dominion is overwhelmed and unable to defend himself, groaning in pain as he gets struck repeatedly. The spectators look on in shock and horror. One of them comments on the cruelty of the scene, while another questions whether they should intervene, but no one dares move. Two armored men watch in disbelief. One of them questions if the person they're witnessing is really the young master they knew. They can't comprehend how he's changed so drastically in just 3 months. They explain it's not just his force that's awakened, but even his swordsmanship has evolved completely, now refined and precise, as if he's wielded a blade for decades. Logan stands tall and composed, overlooking the unconscious Dominion at his feet. The courtyard falls into silence, as Logan's overwhelming dominance leaves everyone in awe. The judge, visibly stunned, hesitates before announcing the outcome of the duel. With a shaky voice, he finally declares the victor. Logan McLean, standing tall and composed, gripping his wooden sword, stares ahead in silence. Logan's father watches the match and says it was impressive. Facing the window, Logan's father acknowledges his son's awakening and asks what happened during the training. Logan realizes his father was secretly observing the entire match. Logan explains how he gave up his greed and trained with a calm mindset. He reveals that his awakening as a Force user came from a realization gained in his previous life, only after abandoning everything for revenge. Logan thinks to himself that he only awakened after turning 40 in his past life, recognizing the concept of empty realization. His father acknowledges that Logan has certainly changed. Logan looks surprised as his father turns to speak further. His father sternly questions Logan's judgment, asking why, after such a profound realization, his first action was to attack a knight. Logan firmly defends his actions, saying the man deserved it and that his father already heard the full story from the soldiers. His father admits he did, but still questions whether Logan really needed to go that far. Without hesitation, Logan answers, yes, there was. Logan's father is surprised by Logan's firm response, questioning if there truly was a need for such action. Logan justifies himself, recalling how the knight mocked him and the family, calling the punishment necessary to protect the family's dignity, He explains that someone like that knight could have damaged the family's discipline if left unchecked. Logan reflects on hierarchy, saying it's what keeps an organization stable and functioning. He concludes that when the hierarchy is disturbed, the entire organization risks falling apart. Logan recalls his 10 years as a mercenary and states that when controlling armed men, you must do it decisively in one blow. He looks at the fallen knight and says that what happened today will serve as a warning to the rest. Logan admits that Dominon was mostly at fault, as he neglected his duties and tried to deceive his father. Logan's father warns him that while his decision may have had a point, it was too reckless. He tells Logan to hold himself back for now. Logan is surprised at how easily his father forgives him. Then his father teasingly asks if he wants punishment instead. Logan quickly waves his hands and panics, saying he doesn't want that at all. Logan's father acknowledges that what Logan did wasn't right. He firmly warns him not to act on his own again without permission. Logan respectfully accepts the warning, stating that he understands, while his father reminds him that he hasn't even been officially ranked yet. Logan's father mentions there's something he should know. Logan looks confused, unsure of what his father is about to say. Then he hears the unexpected news. His fiancée, Rena, will be visiting soon. Logan hears that his fiancée, Rena, will be visiting soon. He reacts with a mix of shock and anticipation, realizing she's finally coming. His expression shifts into a greedy grin as he thinks of her as a cash cow. As the sound of footsteps echoes on the marble floor, a grand arrival is underway. A woman with silver hair stands beneath the bright sky, exuding elegance and nobility. It's officially announced. Princess Rena Wolves has arrived. As she approaches the castle gates, the guards bow in respect, signaling her high status and the weight her presence carries. The announcement introduces Princess Rena Wolves, signaling her entrance. Princess Rena makes her appearance, walking gracefully into the hall in a flowing gown. Two maids look shocked and awestruck, covering their mouths in surprise as they see her. Two knights blush and stare, clearly impressed, with one of them commenting that the young master is really lucky. With her eyes closed, Princess Rena greets Lord McLean after a long time. She stands gracefully in a stunning dress, hand over her chest in a formal greeting. Rena smiles warmly, asking if Lord McLean has been well. A bearded nobleman laughs warmly, complimenting Rena by saying she's truly grown into a fine lady. A servant blushes while watching Rena from afar, amazed at how beautifully she's grown since he last saw her as a child. The scene shifts to Logan standing beside his parents, but the atmosphere feels heavy, hinting at a different mood. Logan looks serious and distant, as the narration wonders why the one who should be the happiest looks so troubled. Princess Rena gracefully steps forward, announcing that she'll read the letter entrusted to her by the Count. She begins reading aloud to Baron Patrick McLean, addressing him warmly as a dear friend. 30 minutes later, the soldiers look completely drained and restless, thinking to themselves how unbearably long the speech has been. The princess continues reading the letter, saying that due to unavoidable circumstances, she announces that the arranged marriage must be called off, as stated by Kieran Wolves. From the perspective of the nobles watching, she finishes reading the letter, confirming that's all it says. Logan stares ahead, realizing the letter's polite words are hiding the real message. In his thoughts, he imagines Kieran Wolves saying he expected Patrick McLean to become an Ori user, but he's been stuck as a high-ranking knight for over 20 years. Logan's thoughts continue, picturing Kieran adding that his son is the worst, questioning why they should lower their standards to join with the McLean family. Logan concludes in his mind that the message basically means Kieran wants to cut ties and go their separate ways. Baron McLean mutters that breaking off the arranged marriage without a solid reason is unacceptable. He explodes in anger, thinking the House of Wolves is trying to humiliate the McLeans. Princess Rena quickly responds, denying the accusation. She explains she came personally as an envoy to prevent any misunderstanding. Rena gets emotional as she recalls her childhood memories here, her eyes brimming with tears. She remembers the time she spent with young Logan, cherishing those innocent and joyful days. Rena clutches her chest, saying despite her feelings, she must obey her family's decision. The maids watching are touched, whispering that her heart is as beautiful as her face. Logan smirks to himself, clearly irritated but also amused by the situation. A woman asks Rena directly what her real reason is for calling off the arranged marriage. With a sharp and serious look, she presses further, saying she wants to hear more about these unavoidable circumstances. Princess Rena looks up, clearly emotional and nervous as the situation intensifies. Logan introduces the woman as Marion Kairos, his stepmother and Ronian's biological mother. Logan thinks to himself that Marion has always seen him as a rival due to succession issues. He assumed she'd stay quiet, but realizes she won't ignore something tied to the family's honor. Rena apologizes, saying she doesn't know the real reason behind the broken engagement. She explains that as someone meant to marry into another family, her father never shares important matters with her. Marion cuts in, saying that since Rena came to break the engagement without a clear reason, they'll take it as if there isn't one at all. Rena looks tense as sweat drips down her face, preparing to deliver shocking news. She announces that the Wolves family will pay 3 million gold as compensation for breaking the engagement. The McLean family's financial manager, Dwayne Filsner, reacts in shock, yelling out in disbelief at the massive sum of money. Logan smirks confidently, thinking to himself that if he can just get the marriage money, everything will go according to his plan. Suddenly, his father explodes in fury, his eyes glowing red as he yells in pure rage, having realized Logan's true intentions. The shockwave from his father's outburst is so powerful that even the armored guards are knocked back, overwhelmed by his strength. Princess Rena stumbles from the impact, and a knight quickly moves to shield her, urging her to stay behind him for safety. Rockfern, a knight of the House of Wolves, urgently pleads with Baron to calm down and continue the conversation, attempting to de-escalate the rising tension. The Baron, with a smug and condescending tone, mocks Rockfern, questioning if he truly holds a high-ranking title at such a young age, and sarcastically calls it impressive. A nervous onlooker, possibly a young noble, reflects with unease that the injury inflicted upon the Wolves family's rising star could be considered a fair trade to restore the McLean family's tarnished honor. Someone reminds Lord McLean that he's known as an honorable man and wouldn't harm a young princess or junior. Princess Rena says they're not buying honor, just trying to keep peace between both families. Lord McLean thinks if he pushes more, he'll lose his honor. He realizes Kieran Wolves may have planned this and yells his name in anger. The Baron declares that House McLean does not persecute its guests. He adds that they won't accept the Wolves' one-sided offer either. In return for breaking the engagement, the Baron demands a proper apology to his son from the envoy, Rena Wolves. The knights admire the Baron's dignity, calling it true nobility. Logan raises his hand, calling out to stop the discussion. He steps forward and requests permission to speak as the one directly involved in the broken engagement. Logan urgently pleads for everyone to listen to him, that he internally reveals his real intention. He wants to accept the money no matter what. Logan is stunned by the idea of settling with just an apology. He thinks it's madness, especially since 3 million gold equals the entire annual budget of House McLean. He reflects further, noting that half of their current funds come from his stepmother's family, Kairos. Without that support, they'd be bankrupt. Logan, frustrated, concludes internally that they absolutely must take the 3 million gold. There's no other option. Out loud, Logan confidently states that he would like to accept the terms of the Wolves' apology, leaving the others shocked. Logan's father glares furiously, demanding if Logan intends to make him go back on his word. Logan struggles under the pressure, gritting his teeth as he mutters in frustration. Clutching his chest, Logan steels himself, thinking that compared to others in the kingdom, this challenge is nothing, and if he can't handle this, he'll never move forward. Logan's father declares firmly that the McLean family isn't so poor that they need to throw away their honor just for money. Logan stands firm and declares that their family truly is that poor. He reveals that House McClane currently owes the bank $3 million gold. Logan adds that just the yearly interest amounts to 150,000 gold. He warns that without Kairos' financial support, the McClanes would already be bankrupt. Logan shouts in frustration, calling his house the kingdom's greatest beggar family, admitting they're completely broke. In his mind, he imagines his father and stepmother collapsing from the shock of hearing that. But he holds back, deciding to keep such words to himself during this official meeting. The narration focuses on the reason they must accept the $3 million gold. The true issue is tied to the family's honor. Logan's father insists that their honor is more important than money, questioning if Logan would have him break his word for the sake of it. Logan states that House Wolves holds a higher status than their family, and the Count himself is the Margrave of the East. A knight and others discuss how, despite House Wolves' power, they aren't their direct lords. They worry that if the matter ends with just an apology, people will think they bowed down to the wolves. Lady Rena defends her family, saying House Wolves isn't an irrational family. Rena declares that the Wolves family deeply respects the McClane's honor, but still proceeds to break off the engagement. Logan, clearly displeased, points out the hypocrisy, saying they claim rationality while breaking the engagement so one-sidedly. Rena, shocked by Logan's words, stiffens as he calls her out, addressing her directly as princess. Logan reflects that in his past life, he believed Rena was truly saddened by their unavoidable breakup. He recalls what happened before that moment. In a quiet room, Rena stands with her back to Logan, thanking him for coming and telling him they may have to break up today. Turning with a soft smile, Rena says she still wants to create one last memory with him despite the circumstances. Logan calls out to Rena with a pained expression that he reflects that his life as a young master is already ruined. He decides risking everything to run away with the woman he loves might be the better choice. Logan, filled with desperation, pleads with Rena to run away with him, unaware of her true intentions. His expression shifts to shock as he sees Rena suddenly brandish a knife. Rena hurls the knife straight toward Logan, leaving him stunned. Reacting instantly, Logan draws his weapon to block the incoming attack. Rena smirks confidently, mocking Logan. She asks if he really thinks someone like him deserves to be with her, before coldly telling him to know his place and get lost. Logan, visibly shocked and hurt, questions her words. He recalls how she once told him he was weak for losing to a child. Yet thanks to her betrayal, everything became easier for her. He's left stunned, asking what she truly means. Rena screams dramatically, clutching her chest as if she's been attacked, falling to the ground in a distressed act. A knight rushes into the room, alarmed by Rena's scream. She points toward Logan, accusing him, while Logan looks shocked and defensive. Logan realizes in panic that Rena has successfully framed him. He understands that her plan worked, and now he's in serious trouble. Logan's family didn't believe his side of the story. It's explained that because of this, the McClanes were forced to apologize to the Wolves and pay a huge compensation. Logan's expression turns dark as he recalls the betrayal, swearing he can never trust women again, blaming Rena for everything. Logan thinks to himself that Rena is once again planning to use a one-sided excuse to break off their engagement. Determined, Logan declares that she won't get away with it this time.